everyone, welcome to this Flosstube Extra. I thought I would take a minute and show to you that full coverage stitchers do have finishes. I have been a full coverage cross stitcher since the beginning of when I started stitching. I have always been a full coverage stitcher, and I have been doing it consecutively for, I would say, about 12 years or so, give or take a few months. And I have collected quite a few finishes. And so I thought, why not show them all to you? Because I know currently I am working on so many pieces at the same time. I wanted to show that even though I do like to work on multiple pieces at a time because I have so many different interests when it comes to designs and charts, I wanted to show you also that I can finish something. All right, so let's begin with the very first piece in my finishes collection. This is now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, all of my finishes are Heaven and Earth designs. Only now in the last few months have I expanded my chart collection to include a couple of other companies. So, but from the beginning it was just Heaven and Earth designs just caught my eye, and I found a lot of patterns on their website that I really enjoyed. A lot of the patterns, charts, finishes that I'm going to show you right now, a lot of them are either retired or were offered on a specialty basis and are no longer available. So this first one caught my eye because of its beauty, its message, and the colors, and just all of the above. All of my finishes are framed because I always feel that I spend so much time, energy, and I put so much in them. I would rather save up some money and go get them framed professionally. That's now. When I first began, I thought, oh, okay, let's try and do this myself. So the first few pieces that I show you, I actually framed them myself and did a little DIY with the matting. So it's not perfect, but I still think it turned out pretty okay. All right, so the first piece is Namaste by Jessica Galbraith. And this hangs in my foyer. And it's just a welcome piece that as soon as you enter my home, it's there for you to see. And I'm gonna try as much as I can to get close without getting glare. Here we go. So all of it is cross-stitched, and I love even how the words came out. And, excuse me, sorry. The script design of the letters, I just love. And it's not just one stitch to get the letters going. It's not like a back stitch or anything. It's cross stitching, full coverage, full X's cross stitching. And in just this black lettering, there is grays, blacks, browns, all of it. And then these petals, and then the background, the watercolor feature of the background, it just caught my eye, and I said, this is gonna be the first one that I stitch on. And lo and behold, it was also my first finish. And I'm so super proud of this one. So as you can tell, the matting is a little bit messy because as a new stitcher and a new DIY framer, I did it myself. So the frame I purchased, I don't even remember when, but I thought I would try and do the matting myself. So I actually, please don't laugh, I actually used foam, not foam core, but it's the soft meshy foam type thing, and I painted it into colors that complemented the piece, so the little turquoise in there. So straight on, it looks fine. But if you look at the edges, there are, I don't know if I can show you, there are some edges that the paint kind of goes over, so it's not a white edge on the matting, but it's not bad for my first time framing it. Okay, there we go. See how the paint kind of went over the edge there? So for the first time framing something, I gotta say it's not bad, hey? So there's that. So yeah, so very, very happy with my first finish, my first ever full coverage cross stitch completed. Next, we move on to a project that I selected and wanted to complete for my husband. He likes wild animals like lions and tigers, and so I picked this one. It was part of a mystery cell run by the Heaven and Earth Designs group. When they had a bulletin board back then, they used to run a lot of these mystery cells, and if you completed your project, the prize was at the end. You also got a copy of the other selective pieces. So this one is called QS Siberian Forest, and again, it is a DIY framing and matting job. So this one is so charted so well because those eyes, they look straight at you, and I really, really enjoyed working on this piece. So you can see all the detail in there, and look at that. Again, this was a DIY matting. This time I just used construction paper, but it still turned out well, and I'm still very happy with it. My husband loves it, and we hang it up in our bedroom, and that way we can see it all the time. But I think it came out great. The charting was superbly done, so the stitching came out very true to form, and I just love it. I can't get over how wonderful these finished pieces look after working on them for months and months and months, sometimes years. All right, okay. Now, the next couple I'm going to show you, I don't have actual pieces of them, only because I gave them away as gifts. So this first one I gave to my best friend, and it is absolutely beautiful. It's called QS Salvatore. I finished it and I completed it and I gave it to her. It's like the most beautiful shoe ever, and it was a darn pain in the bum to stitch this whole section here. Now I know this is not like my normal full coverage stitching, but you can't tell from the picture, but the stitches were very tiny. I did it on 28 count, but I loved every minute of it. The rose toe section and the upper heel section was the best part to do. The green stem was so difficult, but the outcome was, I mean, it's difficult for a reason, but it came out and turned out so beautifully, and she really loved it. So there's that. Usually when I give a piece to someone, I let them decide how they want to frame it, because they might have a different style of framing than I normally would have. So I leave it up to them. And I only gift pieces to true craft lovers, because when you spend so much time on a piece, you want the gift receiver to also appreciate how much you have put into these pieces. So that's why I don't give away a lot of mine. The next one took me years, and it is one of my most detail-oriented pieces that I have ever worked on. Well, I might be working on a couple now, but when I was doing that, that was the most detail-oriented one. The details are so minute, and I just can't explain anymore. It's called, and it's a regular size one, so it was a normal regular size chart. The finish was huge, and I gifted it to my sister, and I told her, if you don't appreciate it, then I want it back. Here it is. This is Shoreline Village by Dennis Lewin, and I'm going to see if I can enlarge a few sections of it. So the village here, and then you get along to Oh, these flowers were so much confetti filled, but the end result was so beautiful. And then these bricks, this cobblestone was one of my favorite things to work on, because when you're working on it and and you don't realize what you're working on, but then after a while you pull it away from you, and I was just blown away by the detail in that cobblestone. It was my favorite part of the whole project to work on, next to the flowers along the walkway. I just loved the entire piece. So that's Shoreline Village by Dennis Lewin, and one of my favorite pieces that I ever worked on, and it took forever. Now, the sky was not my favorite part to work on. That had to be the worst part on that piece to work on. And then my final piece that I don't have in person was gifted to a lovely, lovely lady in my life. She is my mom's neighbor, and she has been her and her husband have been such wonderful companions to my parents. They've been living next to each other for quite a few number of years, and she is such a lovely lady. And she is also a crafter. She is a fantastic, beautiful painter. So I knew she would appreciate what I gave her. And boy, did she ever. She was so blown away that I would do this, and not only do this, but give it away to her and gift it to her. So I knew she was the perfect person to give it to, and I had no regrets giving away another piece to her. This one was, and she also loves Christmas as much as I do, so I decided to do a Christmas winter scene. This is Mini Silent Night. I think it might be Donna Gelsinger. I will put all the details of all the pieces on the screen there for you, but this was another one of my finishes for her, and she actually framed it very beautifully. If you can see, just a nice simple black frame, and I think she picked just navy blue for the matting. So she really, she enjoyed it so much, and that gave me so much joy to know that she really appreciated it and she really understood the craft that we do, you know? So that makes such a huge difference. Now, shall we move on? I think I'm going to move on to my other pieces that I have finished. One other piece I have hanging at the cabin, and I haven't been able to bring home to show you. So I'm going to show you a picture of that one piece that I have. This one was also part of a mystery cell. So this is the finished piece that I did, and it's not focusing. So I'm going to try and focus it like that. There we go. So there is that one. Anyway, so this was another piece of mine that I did, and you can see the frame. This was when I started to have them professionally framed, and I think it's definitely worth it. She was a fun little stitch to do. She was also a QS mystery cell on the Heaven and Earth Designs bulletin board, and I was lucky enough to join that, and I got to stitch on her. That was a fun little stitch. Okay, so now I've finished showing you the pieces that I don't have in person. Now, the next piece, also another QS, also part of a mystery cell ran by the bulletin board of the Heaven and Earth Designs. This one was QS Heather. Such a lovely piece. I love working on ones like this because the colors, and I just love the cartoonesque of it. Like, I like the black lines and then just filling in the black lines. It's like coloring, but with stitches, and it's so much fun. And I just love all the detail. I think this is, I'm not entirely sure. I think it's Hannah Designs, and I will again, of course, post the designer's name as well as the details of the piece, but also professionally framed. I get all mine done at my local Michael's. I have a lovely lady who works with me every time and helps me pick my matting. And she, I think, is one of the only craft framers that works at Michael's, so she knows exactly what to do with cross-stitching pieces, and I have been happy with it so far, and I don't think I will have any issues moving forward. Fingers crossed. Next up, as you'll notice, I don't have very many large finishes because, of course, the large finishes take so long that I work on so many mini pieces, mini smaller pieces, so that I have a sense of accomplishment when I finish one of those, even though I'm working on so many larger pieces. This one, next coming up, is one of my favorites. It was also part of the Built and Boards stitch-alongs. And you guys, one of my favorites. And again, my framing lady at Michael's, I love you because she suggested the matting that I'm going to show you for this piece, and I probably would have gone with something more generic or more with the theme of the piece, but she said, nope, you got to go with this one, and I did, and I love it. It's my Santa piece, and I think the blue velvety textured one, and you can't tell obviously in the picture, but it's not just a matte, it's actually like a velvety feel to the matte as well. And then the gold there, it just works so well with this. This is actually called QS Christmas Presents, and I think it is the best ever. It came out so beautifully, so wonderfully, and I couldn't be happier with the result. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. And it's gonna be hung year round, even though it's not Christmas, year round, but it's gonna be on the wall. Now, next I have two long shaped pieces to show you. This is another one that has a bit of an little cartoon feel to it. And I love the colors in it, and her face was a little bit hard to stitch because there was so much white involved, but I just love her expression, and I love her hair, and it's just, she's got such attitude, and I love it. I'm here for it. And I'm really glad that I went with the black matting and the purple second matting on the inside. I think it just makes her pop that much more to be matted with the black. And one of my favorite pieces, I absolutely love it. And yeah, couldn't be happier. This is SK Sunny. SK stands for Story Keep, which is what Heaven and Earth Design calls a bookmark shaped piece. QS means quick stitch, even though it's not really a quick stitch, but they call them quick stitches as opposed to their regular size ones, which are not quick stitches. Next is also one of my favorites. I just recently got it back from the framers and it's delightful. You guys, are you ready? Look at that. Didn't she just, she just turned out so beautifully. And I don't know what made me want to do the white matting. It's more of a white iridescent mat that I picked here. You can't tell on camera, and I just, because I wanted to match the iridescent stitching that runs through the stitching. Can't see it very well, but in sections like her skin here and her sleeves and her dress, I had to use Krynic. And so I decided that I wanted something in the matting to match it. So I decided to put the white on the outside so she pops even more. And I'm super happy with the result. This was such, I enjoy stitching on every aspect of this one. It was so fun to stitch. I absolutely love, love, love her. She turned out beautifully, beautifully. And let's see, finally, I have to show you the 3 of 12 pieces that I have completed in the Birthstone series. let's start with my first finish in the series, which was garnet. I'm blown away. I don't even have words to say how beautiful this one is. The stitching, the matting, the framing, all of it. The chart was a beautiful chart to stitch from, and I could not be happier. I really enjoyed this one, working on it, and when it was finished, I just loved how it turned out. It's gorgeous. The second in that series that I finished was Amethyst. Here we go. Sorry about all the lights reflecting. So this one, as you can tell, is a little bit smaller. So the finished frame size for all of the pieces of the Birthstone series are all the same. If the stitched piece is not the same, then the matting size will change, because I told her that I have 12 of them and I want them all framed the exact same. So she has been adjusting the size of the frame and the matting according to how it would look best when all put together. So this is Amethyst. Love all those purple shades. Then we have my latest finish in the series, Peridot. And there she is. So this one, she left a little bit of fabric here. I'm okay with it because a little bit of the yellow, because the fabric that I used has a little bit of a yellow tinge to it, and it works well with leaving a little bit of that, to be seen along with the green. So that is my third finish in the 12 series of the Birthstones, and this, that's from the back. That's the little nubby thing on the back so it doesn't scratch up your wall. There we go, stick that back on. So here's my third finish in the series, and that's it, you guys. Not bad, I have to say, for, I don't know, 12 to 13 years of stitching. I've got a few finishes, maybe not as much as those of you who don't stitch on full coverage, but still a decent amount, and I keep going because I love this so much. So I want to thank you today for watching and coming along with me on this journey of my finishes of my full coverage stitching. It has been a blast, and I will see you at the next regular Flosstube channel for my regular Flosstube update. Thank you everyone for coming and joining me today. Have a wonderful time. Happy stitching. Bye now.